Good morning, home brewers. This is Woody from Woody's Home Brew, and I have Nick Corona, who's been nice to invite us over and show how he does his home brewing. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah, I've been brewing for now about 5 years. I started in 2012. I was actually brought into beer by the beer called Maharaja. It was out of Avery, Colorado. It was the first craft beer I fell in love with, and from just each sip I was having, it was something to where it changed my outlook on craft, and it changed my outlook on beer as a whole. So the very next day I woke up after having probably one too many of those because they tasted so good.
We've all been there.
Right. I woke up and I was calling all over trying to find this beer, and it just struck me that someone made something that really changed beer for me, and I wanted to kind of be a part of that. So I ordered a home brew kit actually the same day, and my goal was to eventually open a brewery. So this is the next best thing right now.
Yes.
To have the home brew system in the garage and be able to do it and try to bring something high quality like that to the industry.
That's awesome. And how long did it take you to put this gear together?
This actually was probably bought after about a year of brewing. I kind of wanted to jump into it as quick as I could and get it to where it was as much like a brewery would be, in the commercial industry. So I kind of saw this is the Brutus 10 brew sculpture, I guess as they call it, or brew system. But I use a Herms. I just like the idea of recirculating during your mash. And this was actually, the Brutus 10 was developed by Lonnie Mack, and I guess he worked for NASA or something like that, and I figured NASA knows what they're doing, so why not go with something like that. But yeah, I saw a lot of the brew systems out there, and I've seen some of the people with their hot liquor tank up on a ladder 6 feet high, and then something else, the gravity systems, and it works out. Anything really works, and for the first year, a lot of my smaller units, they still worked, and they produce high quality beer. But I was happy to get this one, and I've been having fun with it since.
That's great, fantastic. And what are we going to brew today?
Today we're going to be brewing a Hefeweizen. This is probably my most successful beer. It was one of the first beers that I had entered and successively pulled a ribbon. I think it was at the Del Mar Fair, or as they call it now, the San Diego County Fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, just winning a ribbon with one of my beers was really kind of spurred my interest in competitions, and so I started entering a lot more, and this one has been my most successful.
And then you were also Brewer of the Year last year, is that correct?
Yeah. Last year was, you never set out to win something like that. It was really caught me off guard, but it was an incredible experience. That was the Home Brew Con 2016, and my beer, this beer actually, the Hefeweizen, it took gold, and then it wound up taking best of show at that same competition. So it was quite a shock, but this beer has been very, very successful and very consistent for me.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So I started out by putting the rice hulls in. I want to get those saturated so that they start to sink to the bottom. Rice hulls tend to float on the top a lot. So I get those saturated, and then they'll sink to the bottom, and they'll start to make a little bit of a filter bed. Next, I'm going to put in the German Pilsner. I've got my husks in here that I'm going to be relying on to also help create that filter bed before we move on to the wheat. So I try to use the grains and then the rice hulls first prior to putting in the wheat. All right, so next goes the wheat. We've got, of course, the rice hulls and the German Pilsner in, and now we got the wheat. And of course, we want to double mill our wheat. So we're actually doughing in right now at about 115, and I'm looking for probably about 110 once we're all said and done. And I'll just run our first step at 110. It's a ferulic acid rest for this style of beer. Hefeweizens, I just do a step mash.